I'm originally from the Philippines, so that's where I start. I went to the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School to get my MBA, and I got my MBA in the late 60s, and then worked for IBM in Philadelphia. And in the Philippines, I worked for Exxon. So I've always worked for big American companies. So I have 10 years of big corporate background with two of the largest corporations in the world at the time, Exxon and IBM. So I do have a strong business background, including my MBA. And after a while, I started getting restless and feeling that being in big corporations, you're just a number. You're just a number. And I wanted something more personalized. So I started my own company in real estate together with my wife. So we started dabbling in real estate in Philadelphia. And I hated the winters. So, like a lot of Northern, I hated the winters. And like what's happening now is dangerous. It's not just cold, it's dangerous. And I had several close mishaps on the road because of the storms and the icy roads. So then I felt like everybody else was looking at Florida. And I was actually found, instead of me finding Palm Beach, I was actually found by Royal Palm Beach. And the reason that I can say that is because the owner of what was known as Royal Palm Beach Colony, who also owned Pantry Pride, I don't know if you remember Pantry Pride, J.M. Fields, the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, that was Sam Friedland. Sam Friedland was a big guy in New York, but he lived in Philadelphia. And one of his executives met me in a social gathering and found out that I was involved in real estate. So he said, come to Palm Beach County, and see if you could promote Royal Palm Beach in Philadelphia. So he invited me, and I stayed at the Royal Inn in Royal Palm Beach. So it was just a little 32-room hotel at that time. And so I found Florida. I still wanted to check other areas, so I spent the next 6 months or so traveling north, south, east, and west. I went to Pensacola, to Orlando, to Tampa, to Miami. So I did a lot of checking out different areas. And I finally narrowed it down to Tampa and Palm Beach. And of course, because of the people in Royal Palm Beach developers, I decided to continue promoting Royal Palm Beach in Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania area. So I was already involved in selling real estate while I was still in Philadelphia. I didn't know that there was such a place called Wellington. So one day I got a call from somebody by the name of Gary Stribling. I don't know if you remember Stribling Way, which is one of the roads right here now in Wellington. I got a call from Gary Stribling. He said, Jess, I've been hearing you're the number one broker for Royal Palm Beach. How about doing the same thing for Wellington? said, Wellington. I said, where's Wellington? So anyway, to make a long story short, my wife and I came to Wellington. We came to Wellington.
What year, do you remember?
And got lost. And got lost in Wellington. It was in sometime in 76. Sometime in 76, we came to Wellington. But I already had investments in Royal Palm Beach by that time. So I came to Wellington and got lost. I finally found where Gary Stribling was the president of Gould, Florida. He was the president of Gould, Florida. And I found his trailer. So there were no homes in Wellington. There were no homes. And most of the streets didn't even have names. I don't know if Forest Hill Boulevard even had a name at that time. But eventually, by my persistence, and my wife's is more good at finding places, we found this place, this trailer at the entrance to what's now Palm Beach Polo. What's now Palm Beach Polo, there was a trailer. And we went, and there was Gary Stribling, and then that's when he convinced me to include Wellington in my in my bag of real estate properties. So I started promoting Wellington. The lots there, Sugar Pond, and was just starting at that time. But there were no homes. There were no homes. So I started promoting Wellington, the equestrian communities, the 1 acre lots in the equestrian communities. They were selling relatively inexpensive compared to the prices now. They were probably $20,000, $30,000. The Sugar Pond was like $7,000, $8,000 lots at that time. So I did sell, and I did sell a lot to Northerners, because since I had been there for 10 years, I knew a lot of professional people, doctors, and since I speak Spanish, I also was able, and the Hispanic community, of course, likes Florida for the same reason, the weather, the Puerto Ricans, the Colombians. So I was involved with a radio station in Philadelphia for the Hispanic community. So I would bring plane loads of people, by the plane load, chartered, to invest in Royal Palm Beach and Wellington at that time. Yeah, I had a organized program already. When I would bring, we would stay at the Royal Inn. At the Royal Inn, eventually, I owned. So I would bring people by the plane loads, and I would literally sell dozens of properties. I would fill up my attaché case with contracts, because when I would take movies of wherever we went, and when we went back to Philadelphia, I would show it to the families and the neighbors. So I already had my next set of customers for the next flight, because the same people who I took to, I already had my Worth Avenue Drive, Millionaires Row. I knew the names of all the millionaires along A1A. So I had my pitch all set. So to make a long story short, I was very successful. And I invested my commissions in also buying real estate, which was dirt cheap at that time. At that time, lots were $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 lots, and you could and in 74, 5, and 6 was a recession. I don't know if you remember, if you were around at that time, but there was a recession, and Royal Palm Beach Colony was at the brink of bankruptcy themselves. So in 78, I think it was 78, they offered me the Royal Inn for next to nothing, just because they were losing money. They needed cash. So I took over the Royal Inn basically next to nothing.
And you rebuilt the whole.
And I added, I demolished the older building. I still have one building that was in the original batch. I still have one building, but I demolished the others. And in phases over the years, I've added buildings. And now all of my construction has been suites. I have 4 buildings that are all suites with kitchens and with kitchens. It's like a 1-bedroom apartment overlooking the lake. No, I really have a good. The Royal Inn now is not the Royal Inn of before. I have them on the lake, big 1-bedroom apartments for half the price that you get in a 1-bedroom of Hampton Inn or the Fairfield hotels. So it's really a bargain what I have, and I can do it for the simple reason. I bought the land cheap, even the Royal Palm Beach Shopping Center. I bought it cheap. I built it myself. I manage it myself. So I lease it myself. So there's no middleman. So my rents in my shopping centers are all much less than the competition. I'm almost 100% in all of my developments. So that's Royal Palm Beach. But now let's go. Then while I'm selling for Wellington and Royal Palm Beach and building, then I started building a few homes, and then I got somebody from Ohio, who might have heard Wally Sanger. He had a son who had a physical problem and moved from Ohio to Royal Palm Beach. We met, and he was a carpenter. And I was looking for a superintendent. I was looking for somebody to supervise my construction. After we interviewed for about 3 or 4 months, instead of offering him a job, I offered him a 50-50 partnership. Not 51-49, so that I would control. I said, Wally, we'll go down the middle. You handle construction, and I handle all the paper shuffling. I'll handle the financing, the marketing. You just build. I won't bother you in your building. Don't bother me in sales and financing. And I only have 2 rules. 2 rules. The first rule is you handle construction and I handle the sales and financing. And the other rule is we will only build in Royal Palm Beach and Wellington. If we get people coming from West Palm Beach or Lake Worth or Palm Beach Gardens we're going to turn them down. We are going to be exclusive Royal Palm Beach builders. I don't want to build farther than a 5-mile radius of my house. That's always been my style. So I'll go to that shortly. What happened? So for 20 years, Wally and I were second to no one. If Minto and all of the national builders came to the area, they had to settle for 2 and 3 and 4 because number 1 was taken permanently. We were awarded the most energy efficient home. We had 2 things that we were known for. Well, actually 3. One is we were the most energy efficient home builder. First in the county, but then in the state, in the whole state of Florida. We could pretty much guarantee you'd save 30% in your electric bill if we built your house, because we had our own system of construction, which was the Royal Wall. The Royal Wall is solid concrete backed up by polystyrene. Polystyrene is like styrofoam of a coffee cup. When you drink coffee, and you pour boiling coffee, why don't you feel the heat?
Because it doesn't absorb.
It doesn't go through the styrofoam. The same thing with polystyrene. The heat of the sun cannot penetrate the concrete walls because behind the concrete wall is the polystyrene. And we had a patent. So we had a US patent. So other builders would buy from us. So when it came to energy efficiency, we said, we'll save you 30% of your electric bill using our walls. And the second thing was with the solid concrete, much stronger than hollow block or wood. So for strength and energy efficiency, for hurricanes, we can withstand high winds. So that's what sold us. We could just endlessly, and of course the third reason is service. Wally was very strict. If it's not under warranty, he wouldn't do it. But if they couldn't get something fixed from Wally because the 1 year warranty was over, they knew where to go. They would go to Jess Santamaria because Jess Santamaria always took care of everybody. Yeah, no matter whether it was under warranty or not, I took care of it personally. I used Jess Santamaria money. I didn't use our company was Royal Professional Builders. He was 50% owner. So he had the same rights as I had. But if he would refuse to fix it, I would take care of it personally. So that's why what happened to us? We became partners in '82, and we were selling. I said we were number one. Nobody could beat us in sales of homes. And 2002 was the other recession. The other recession in 2002, 2001 and 2002, there was another recession. I skipped one of the things that pertains to Wellington before I go to that. In '88, the Wellington Mall, the original Wellington Mall, went bankrupt. A very good builder, Pat DeVivo. Some of you would know Pat DeVivo. He was an excellent home builder, but he really didn't know commercial. He tried to do a mall that was too small. For a mall, you need something like the Green Mall. The reason it's a Green Mall because I wouldn't sell them the name. They were using the name Wellington Mall, and I had to have my lawyer send them a cease and desist because I already had the name registered. Yeah. So they offered to buy the name. I said, you can't afford it because it's not for sale. So they had to change it to the Mall at Wellington Green. So that's the history there behind it. And the mall went bankrupt. It was for sale from 87, 88, 89. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted after it went bankrupt, it was half empty. It was for sale. Nobody wanted it because it was just a failed project. It did not have enough building for a Dillard's or Macy's or JCPenney's. So all of the little stores, the clothing stores, of course, could not compete with the department stores of Macy's, Dillard's, and JCPenney's. So it failed. It was half empty, and it was for sale, and nobody wanted it. So finally, the bank came back to me 3 or 4 times, and also gave me a deal that I couldn't refuse. So I took it over in January of 1990. And my friends were asking me, Jess, you're supposed to be a smart guy from Wharton. Said, well, that was not very smart of you to buy the Wellington Mall. So I said, yeah, but I completely changed the concept because it's no longer a retail center. I have promoted it more as a professional building, and I got one of my magic formulas was I was able to convince the Palm Beach Post to open the first post office in Wellington area. Do you know how I convinced them? I gave them a 20-year lease for fixed rent for $1 a year. $1 a year rent, including electric and water. And I built them that kiosk. I built them the kiosk. So I met with the postmaster and I made him an offer he couldn't refuse either. Yeah, so I had a few little tricks to do what I had to. You gotta give to get, and so that brings the traffic there every year. And Christmas season, forget it. It's a long line to go to the post office. Yeah, even if there's the bigger post office down the road. So where are we now? Oh, where are we now? We are 20 years after I joined with, I made partnership with Wally Sanger. There was the recession, and we were running out of land. So Wally, he liked to travel. I don't like to travel. You know what my average annual mileage on my car is? About 6,000. 6,000, because I just drive from my home to the office, which is 1.5 miles. To the Wellington Mall, it's 1 mile. So everything I do is close to home. So I am very efficient. I decided I hate politics. I hate politics, but I hated corruption more. I hated corruption, and Palm Beach County was known as Corruption County. So I said, I've got to do something about it. So I did run. I was going to run against Tony. I was going to run against him. I filed to run against him, but before the election, FBI got him. I got the Office of Inspector General approved. All my fellow commissioners did not want the Inspector General because the Inspector General was going to watch over us. They didn't want to be watched. 3 went to jail: Macelotti, McCarthy, and I forget his name, an engineer. He went to jail. The others all should have gone to jail. They all should have gone to jail. Then Jeff Koons had to resign because he also was caught lying under oath. So 3 went to jail, and Jeff Koons was forced to resign. But Bert Aronson, may he rest in peace, he should have gone to jail as well. Yeah, so that's why I ran for office, to see how many I could help. But the one that they were all against the Inspector General, but I testified in court. I'm gonna brag now. In my testimony, when I testified in front of the grand jury, I was asked by Michael McAuliffe, who was the state attorney at the time. He asked, Jess, you know a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. I'd like you to be the first to testify in front of my grand jury regarding corruption in the government. I said, sure. So to make a long story short, I testified for 3 hours. 3 hours testimony. And at the end of my testimony, there are 21 grand jurors. There were 3 rows of 7. 3 rows of 7. and they gave me a standing ovation. And the lawyer, the state attorney who was acting as the monitor of the cross-examination, he said, "I've never seen a grand jury give a standing ovation to a witness." The other commissioners would not testify. They wouldn't testify. But I got all my friends from Wellington and Royal Palm Beach to show up at the commission meetings, fill up the chamber, and demand that they testify and that we approve the Office of Inspector General. So after persistency and just embarrassing the other commissioners, eventually they started testifying. And that was the only time I got 7 out of 7 votes approving the Office of Inspector General, and then we still have the Inspector General. The only sad thing, the only thing I guess you might say I failed, the only thing I think I failed because I never had the support of my fellow commissioners is this too much. You know, like what do you call it, Westgate?
Westlake.
Westgate?
Westlake.
Westlake, the Westlake, you know, they already got approval from the state because we turned them down. We turned them down when I first got elected. I was able to get the vote. It was 4-2 vote, and I was among the 4. I was the one who was against the approval. Tony Masolotti wanted 10,000 homes. And it was approved, but when it got to Tallahassee, they sent it back, that it was too many homes. And then on the second vote, when I was already on the commission, we voted to turn it down. But then they went to Tallahassee, and they got approval for 3,000 homes. So it was already approved for 3 when Minto bought the land, I guess, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. In my last year as a county commissioner, they bought the land. They asked for 4,500 homes. I already was willing to go to 3,000 homes, and they only had 200,000 commercial square feet. 200,000. They asked for 2 million square feet, 10 times more commercial. They got the 5 to vote, and I was on the short end. I was the 2 who voted for it. Burdick is the only one who joined me. So they were able to get the other 5 commissioners, and they were able to increase it to 4,500 homes and 2 million feet of commercial. And that's what's happening all around. There's just too much density. There's too much density. It's sad. That's the problem. The problem is we have too much. If only they had reduced the density, we'd be. It's a beautiful community, as you can see. Driving into town is horrendous, and there's more commercial. There's more homes being built all around.
About how many homes / lots do you think you've sold in the time that you?
3,000.
3,000.
But it was all zoned. I did not have to ask for rezoning. It was already zoned. The commercial was already zoned. So what the 3,000 homes I was building what was already allowed. I didn't ask to increase the number of homes or to change the zoning. The one who really bastardized, the only word I can think of, the community was Tony Masolotti. There were orange groves. I don't know if anyone of you remember the Anthony Groves.
Anthony Groves.
That was, I used to go there for oranges.
Me too.
Yeah, Tony Masolotti. The other thing is, Southern Boulevard was always the dividing line between Wellington South and Royal Palm Beach North. That was the dividing line. The road and the canal. The canal. That was it. That was unwritten law. Tony Masalotti was the one who, when Anthony Groves applied for homes, Tony went to Wellington. They applied to Wellington. If there's something I regret about Wellington, I'm going to tell you what it is now. The Anthony Groves people and the other Groves applied in Wellington because they were on the south end of Southern Boulevard. And Wellington was planning to approve them. What happened was, Masalotti was the mayor of Royal Palm Beach. So he went to the Groves and said, what will Wellington give you? I'll give you much more. Much more commercial, much more homes, whatever. Come to Royal Palm Beach. See? So he broke the rule, crossing Southern Boulevard. Wellington sued Royal Palm Beach correctly. Did you know about that?
Yep.
Wellington sued Royal Palm Beach for crossing Southern Boulevard. What's the next thing that happened? Wellington needed a Royal Palm Beach resident to join Wellington. Who did they call? They called me and said, Jess, we need you to get your friends to join the lawsuit, against Royal Palm Beach. We need Royal Palm Beach residents to join us. So I said, I will. So I brought my friends. We signed the lawsuit, joining Wellington. Okay, that's one thing I don't like about Wellington at that time. Don't like. The lawyer was the one who called me, said, we need you to join us, we need your friends to join us. I was happy to join them. I would have testified. I would have testified in court. I joined them. About 2 or 3 months later, I got a call from Charlie Scheck. Anybody remembers the name? Charlie Scheck is a lawyer of Wellington at that time. Charlie Scheck, who called me to sign it and join Wellington, he calls me about 3 months later. He said, Jess, we have settled with Royal Palm Beach. We have settled with Royal Palm Beach. If you want to continue the lawsuit, you'll have to do it by yourself. So that was, to me, is not nice. That was not nice. Wellington settled. In exchange, they got some water rights across. So Wellington allowed Royal Palm Beach to cross Southern Boulevard, and Royal Palm Beach allowed Wellington to get water rights north. That's on record. That's on record, and that was like a real shame. That was a real shame. If there's anything I resent about Wellington, that's it. That's it. They asked me to join them, and then they said, we settled, if you want to do it, you'll have to do it alone. Of course, Ken Adams was my number one guy. Ken Adams, I don't know if you realize that after his wife died, he had no one. He had no one. He had no children, and it was sad. He was being taken advantage of by his caretaker and his lawyer. So he called me aside when I visited him on Christmas Day, 1977, at what do you call this? It doesn't matter. There's a rehab center. He was there, and we visited him, my wife and I, and my 2 children, Chris and Michelle. 2 of my children live here. My middle son is in Orlando. He's married to a nurse with three little ones. you know how spoiled they must be. By my wife, not by me. So anyway, we visited Ken, and he pulled me aside and said, Jess, I need help. And so I need it now. It was because, and he told me what was happening to him. He was taken advantage by his caretaker and his attorney. To give you an example of one example, Michelle tried to have the bar reprimand him. But anyway, one of the things that shocked us when we found out, Ken invited his lawyer to ice cream in his house for Christmas, a Christmas party, for ice cream and cookies. And Michelle, who has been helping him, my daughter Michelle, who's been helping him with his medical treatments, saw that he was sent a bill for having ice cream in his house for Christmas. I mean, that's how but anyway, we got rid of his lawyer, we got rid of his caretaker, who of course had his credit card, and you know what happens when, so he was, anyway, the fact is, we took over, Michelle was able to convert his house into a miniature hospital. So we gave him 3 more years of life after Michelle took over his health. So I was praying he would make one more Christmas, this Christmas. He died in November. Yeah, he had a cardiac arrest. They tried to revive him. They weren't able to revive him. So it's sad, but thing is, he and I worked with a lot of others, including, I'm sure, Kathy Foster herself and others, to incorporate Wellington. So Ken Adams and I and a lot of other good people in the community worked. And the second time, the first time, the first time we lost by a small margin. The second time we won by a small margin. So that's one of the things that Ken Adams and I worked on. Then he and I tried to do Wellington Bank. Ken Adams and I tried, and Bing Gleason too. We tried to start the Wellington Bank, but we expected the deep pockets in the Christian community to come through, but it didn't come from there. So we were not able to pull that one off. We wanted to do a Wellington Bank. What I try to do, have tried to do, and will continue trying to do, is to get all of the Western communities of Wellington, Royal Palm Beach, Loxahatchee, and the acreage to work together to preserve the area, to protect the area. Yeah, we all of us have to work together because we're a powerful group. If you combine all of the, the acreage is a big area. Loxahatchee is not so big, but then there's the Royal Palm Beach and Wellington. We're a force, and we've got to preserve whatever is left of our community.